GST Council Committee is the important committee where this committee is going to take all the important decisions with respect to the goods and services tax in India. The minister in charge of finance or taxation or any other minister nominated by state government as members. The function of the GST Council to prepare some set of rules and regulations which determines the place of supply of the services or the supply of goods. Hello everyone, I am Arun Kumar, lecturer in Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Dear student, welcome to this new session, session number 2 on unit number 1, that is Introduction to GST. So dear students, in the last session with respect to this particular unit, we discussed about the history of the indirect tax system or the indirect tax structure in India and how this GST came into existence and what is the meaning of GST. And we also discussed about the types of GST and how we are going to impose the GST on different transactions and the rates under GST. And we also discussed about the features and the advantages of GST. So in this particular session, dear students, we are going to discuss about the GST Council. So what is this GST Council? Why we want this GST Council and what are the advantages or how we will get benefited from this GST Council? So here for each and every kind of organization, there will be a set of or there will be a group of people who will take care of that organization, right? So if you take an example of a company, what will happen? In a company, there will be a CEO or a managing director. Along with them, there will be a directors and all. So what is the job or what is the duty of those people? Those people are like the board of directors or the board of members who will take all the decisions with respect to the company, whether to purchase the materials or whether to give salary or whatever it is. For each and everything, the board of members will be there. They will be taking the decisions with respect to the business. In the same way, the GST Council is also a group of people who are come together to take decisions with respect to the GST, how to impose GST, how to implement GST, and how to increase or decrease the rates, and how to determine or differentiate the GST rates with respect to different types of goods and services, and what and all the rules and regulations we are supposed to put for the business entities, and when to collect GST, what is the penalty we are supposed to impose if the business entities are not paying the GST on proper date. So about this all aspects, these people are going to discuss and they will take the exact decision. That is what called the GST Council. It's a group of people. So GST Council is an apex member committee to modify, reconcile or to procure any law or regulation based on the context of goods and services tax in India. So yes, as I said, it is a apex body committee, a group of members where they will be taking all the decisions with respect to the Goods and Services Tax Act, which is there in India. So the council is headed by the Union Finance Minister, who is assisted by finance ministers of all states of India. So here, this committee, the GST Council Committee, will be headed by the Finance Minister of India. The Finance Minister of India. That is, who is the present Finance Minister of India? Yes, it is Nirmala Sitharaman. So it is headed by the present Union Finance Minister, that is the Central Finance Minister, and supported by or assisted by all Finance Minister of all the states. Okay, Finance Ministers of all other states will be the members of that committee, and the Union Finance Minister will be the chairman of this GST Council Committee. The GST Council is the key decision-making body that will take all important decisions regarding the GST. Yes, here GST Council Committee is the important committee where this committee is going to take all the important decisions with respect to the goods and services tax in India. And the GST Council dictates tax rate, tax exemption, the due date of forms, tax laws and tax deadlines, keeping in mind special rates and provisions for some states. Yes, here the job or the duty or the responsibility of the GST Council Committee is to dictate the tax rates. That means what rate of tax we are supposed to impose on what kind of goods, what kind of services, and what is the exemption we are supposed to give, and on what kind of goods and services we are supposed to give the tax exemptions, and what is the due date for the different kinds of form. For example, form number 1 or form number 2 or form number 3 under the GSTR returns. What should be the due dates to submit those forms, and what should be the deadline to payment of tax, and also keeping in mind about the special rates and provisions for some states. For some states, obviously they have to give some exemption or some special rates, that is the low rate of GST. About that and all, they are going to decide in the committee, and they are going to implement those things in the GST system. So the predominant responsibility of the GST Council is to ensure to have one uniform tax rate for goods and services across the nation. Yes, the main and foremost responsibility of this GST Council is to make sure that the uniform tax rate is applicable to the whole India. That means if they are imposing 5% of tax, only the 5% of tax should be collected all over the India, not more than 5% on any particular goods. If they are imposing 12%, then obviously they should collect only 12% of tax in all the states without irrespective of any states. For example, in Karnataka, if they are collecting 12% of tax on tea, for example, then the same rate of tax will be applicable in other state also, whether it's Tamil Nadu or whether it's Kerala or whatever the state, whether it's Andhra Pradesh or whether it's Madhya Pradesh, the rate of tax will be 12% on tea. So they should make sure that a uniform tax rate will be collected in all over the India. So this is the main responsibility or rights or the duties of the GST Council. So GST Council, it's a body of members consisting of the Union Minister as the chairman and Union Finance Minister as the chairman, and the Finance Minister of all other states will be assisting the Union Finance Minister under this GST Council, and their responsibility is to take care about the tax rate, the exemptions, provisions, and the due dates of payment of taxes and all, and also to make sure that a uniform tax will be imposed on all other places in India. So next, moving further, GST Council structure. So the goods and services tax, that is GST, is governed by the GST Council Article 279 subsection 1 of the Amendment Indian Constitution states that the GST Council has to be constituted by the President within 60 days of the commencement of the Article 279A. According to the article, GST Council will be a joint forum from the center and the states. It consists of the following members. Yes, here, if you look into the structure of GST, obviously in the last slide itself, you got to know who are all going to be the members of the GST Council. So according to section 2 or the article number 279 subsection 1 of the Amendment Indian Constitution Act, within 60 days of the commencement of article 279A, according to the article, GST Council will be a joint forum. It will be a joint forum. According to section article 279A, GST Council is a joint forum between the center and the state government, and it consists of the following members. So who are all going to be the members of this GST Council? The first is the Union Finance Minister. The Union Finance Minister is going to be the the chairman of the GST Council, and as a member, the Union Finance Minister of States. The Union Finance Minister of States, those people are going to be the members, and the Minister in charge of Finance or Taxation or any other minister nominated by state government as members. Yes, if any particular minister appointed as a in-charge finance minister, as a finance minister of that particular state, those people are also going to be the member of this GST Council. And GST Council recommendations. So what are all the recommendations they had given so far? So article number 279A subsection 4 specifies that the GST Council will make recommendations to the union and the states on the important issues related to GST, such as the goods and services will be subject or exempted from the goods and service tax. They lay down GST laws, principles that governs the following. That means here, this GST Council is going to give some important recommendations with respect to a particular issues under the GST system, whether imposing the tax on the goods and services or whether giving the exemption on goods and services. With respect to this committee is going to give some recommendations. So the recommendations they'll give based upon the place of supply. They'll give the recommendation on the place of supply. What should be called as place of supply? Which place is supposed to be considered as place of supply and who is supposed to pay the tax? About this, they might give recommendations. And threshold limits. Yes, the GST Council will always have the right to give the recommendations with respect to this threshold limit. So what is threshold limit? How much should be the threshold limit? And for which state, what is the limit? About this, they can give their own recommendations and that can be implemented in the particular financial year. And GST rates on goods and services. Yes, they'll be having the right to give the recommendation about the GST rates. So presently we have 4 rates, that is 5, 12, 18 and 28%. And on different goods, the different rate is applicable. For example, they can give the suggestion that if any goods is attracting 28% of tax, they can advise it to reduce it for 18% or 12% based on the advice they give. Okay, based on the advice they give, they take the decision and they implement the recommendation of this GST Council. And special rates for raising additional resources during a natural calamity or disasters. Yes, the GST Council have all the rights to give the special rates recommendations at the time of natural calamity and natural disasters. And also they have the rights to give the recommendations based on the special GST rates for certain states. Yes, for northeastern states, they might announce the special rates. They might reduce the tax rates. For example, if they're imposing 12%, they might give recommendation to impose 5% based on the particular state situation. So on these many issues, they can give the recommendations. The GST Council can give the recommendations, and those recommendations they can implement in any financial year. Next, functions of GST Council. So what and all the functions or the duties they are supposed to perform? So what and all the functions they will be doing? So Goods and Services Tax Council is a constitutional body for making recommendations to the union and state governments on issues related to goods and services tax. Yes, here GST Council, Goods and Services Tax Council, it is a constitutional body which is there to give the recommendations to the goods and services tax issues. If there is any issue in the GST, they are there to give the recommendations for the issues relating to the goods and services tax. So as per Article 279A, subsection 4, the functions of GST Council include making recommendations to the union and states on important issues like, the first thing is the goods and services that may be subjected or exempted from GST. Yes, here their function is to just to give the advice whether whatever the goods or the services what a particular person is supplying, whether it is subject to tax or whether it is subject to exempt, whether the goods is exempted from tax or taxable, that they are supposed to decide, and that is their function. For example, milk, we purchase milk. So it is decided by the authority that milk is exempted from GST. We are not supposed to impose GST on milk. Okay. Fresh fruits and vegetables. So any fresh fruits and vegetables are purchased, it is exempted from GST. So this recommendation is given by the GST Council. That is why it is implemented, and at present we are practicing it and we are not imposing the tax on fresh fruits and vegetables or on fresh milk. That is the function. That is to decide whether to give exemption or to taxable the particular goods or services. Next function is model GST laws. Yes, their function is to prepare the model GST laws with respect to how to follow the rules and regulations or how to pay the tax, how to apply for the tax credit and all. About that, they are supposed to prepare the model. and principles that governs the place of supply. Yes, their function is to prepare the principles, the set of rules and regulations to determine the place of supply. Yes, it is the function of the GST Council to prepare some set of rules and regulations which determines the place of supply of the services or the supply of goods. Next, threshold limit. Yes, it is the function of the GST Council to prepare or to decide about the threshold limit. What should be the threshold limit for a particular state or for all the states or for northeastern states. Next, the GST rates including the floor rates with bands. Yes, here their function is also to decide about the GST rates, whether to impose 5%, 12%, 18% or 28%. The special rates for rising additional sources during the natural calamities and disasters. Yes, and also their function is to decide or to have a look on deciding the special rates on some special circumstances and also giving some special provisions for certain states. So these are all the functions of GST Council. So next, moving further, CGST Act 2017. So CGST Act is also comes under the GST Act only. So under that we have CGST Act 2017. So short title, extent and commencement. So under this CGST Act 2017, we will get to know about the important definitions or the important terminologies we have under the GST. And here it extends and commencement. This act may be called as Central Goods and Services Tax Act 2017. Yes, the CGST Act 2017 is called as the Central Goods and Services Tax Act 2017, and it extends to the whole of India. This particular act extends to the whole of India. That means the whole India is following this CGST Act 2017 under the GST system. It shall come into force on such date as the central government may, by notification in the official gazette, appoint. Yes, it is came into existence from 2017 itself. So once the central government, give the notification with respect to this CGST Act 2017, from that date, that is from 1st July 2017, this CGST Act 2017 is came into existence. So CGST Act 2017 is nothing but it is Central Goods and Service Tax Act 2017, and it extends to the whole India, and it came into existence from 1st July 2017. And under this act, we have so many important definitions where it will be very helpful to you while you are solving the problems under GST, or while you are getting know about GST and how the system works. At that point of time, the definitions or the terminologies are most important. If you know the exact meaning of the particular terminology under the GST purview, so then you can decide that whether it comes under the GST purview or not. So the first terminology or the first important definition under CGST Act 2017 is agriculturist. So you will be knowing, okay, in general you will be knowing who is called agriculturist. That means the person who is into farming is called agriculturist, okay. But under GST, what it says for the terminology agriculturist. So agriculturist means an individual or HUF, that is Hindu undivided family, who undertakes cultivation of land. Yes, here any individual or any Hindu undivided family who undertakes the cultivation of land by own labor. That means by using the family members for cultivation or for some work, or by the labor of family. Okay, as an individual, I am only doing all the labor works as a labor, or by using the family members as labor, or by servants on wages payable in cash or kind, or by hired labor under personal supervision or the personal supervision of any member of the family. So here agriculturist means, according to the CGST Act 2017, agriculturist means any individual or Hindu undivided family who undertakes cultivation of land by own labor or by family members as laborers, or by hiring the wages, by hiring the servants, or by hiring the laborers on wages basis in cash or in kind who are maintained by own labor or who are maintained by own or maintained by the family members, then that person will be called as agriculturist. Okay, so this is the meaning of agriculturist under CGST Act 2017. In general, that is different. But if it comes to GST, if they ask you what is agriculturist, this is the explanation what you are supposed to give. Next, moving further, central tax. So what is the central tax? Central tax means the central goods and services tax levied under section 9. Yes, central tax is nothing but the central goods and services tax, that is the CGST. The central goods and services tax levied under section 9 is called central tax. Then what is state tax? State tax is nothing but the state goods and services tax imposed or levied, that is called state tax. Central tax is nothing but the central goods and services tax levied under section 9. Next, what is this composite supply? Composite supply. So composite supply means a supply made by a taxable person. A supply made by a taxable person, a recipient to a recipient, consisting of two or more taxable supplies of goods or services or both or any combination thereof, which are naturally bundled and supplied in conjunction with each other in the ordinary course of business, one of which is a principal supply. So here, in an easy way, I'll make you to understand this composite supply. So I'll give you one best example to understand what is composite supply. For example, you go and purchase mobile. Okay, you go and purchase mobile. Along with mobile, what they'll do, they'll give you the charger, right? They'll give you the charger. So here, both mobile and charger, both are depending each other. Both are depending each other. So without charger, you can't charge mobile. So if you're holding just the charger, without phone, no use. So here both the items are depending each other, and here mobile is the principal supply or the basic supply, right? So this is called composite supply. Here the items are bundled naturally. The items are bundled naturally, and in those items, one item will be the principal supply, that is called composite supply under CGST Act 2017. That is the meaning of composite supply. Moving further, continuous supply of goods. What is the meaning of continuous supply of goods? So it means a supply of goods which is provided or agreed to provided continuously or on a recurrent basis under a contract, whether or not by means of wire, cable, pipeline or other conduit, and for which the supplier invoices the recipient on a regular or periodic basis and includes supply of such goods as the government may subject to such conditions as it may by notification or specify. Here continuous supply means here a particular person agreed to supply. Here a person or the supplier is going to provide or is going to agree to provide continuously. Okay, on weekly basis or monthly basis or on yearly basis, a particular supplier is going to provide or agree to provide continuously to a recipient. Whether through pipeline or whether to cable or whether through wire. Okay, whatever the service is providing, whatever the goods is providing, whatever is providing, he is going to provide or he is going to agree to provide some goods or services continuously on recurring basis to a particular recipient. That will be called as continuous supply under CGST Act 2017. So that is called continuous supply. So I hope all of you understood what we have discussed so far with respect to this particular unit, that is Introduction to GST. So I'll come up with few more new topics in the upcoming session. Until then, thank you all. Have a nice day. Namaste.